I'd like to call the committee meeting of the whole to order at 6:33. Number two, I'd like to make a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole meetings held on November 20th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number three, presentation of the audit.
Good evening. On behalf of Sikich, my name is Anthony Cervini. I'd like to thank the board for inviting me here this evening to present the results of our audit of the village as of and for your fiscal year ended April 30th, 2018. As a result of our audit, we issue a total of 12 reports. This evening, I'll focus my comments on the comprehensive annual financial report, but happy to answer any other questions that you may have on any of the other documents. Before getting into the highlights from the comprehensive annual financial report, also do want to commend the village for preparing the comprehensive annual financial report. The comprehensive annual financial report is a document that goes well above and beyond the minimum reporting requirements for both Illinois compiled statutes as well as generally accepted accounting principles. So again, commend you for preparing this document, having policies and procedures in place that allow for the preparation of this document. Sorry.
Technical difficulties here. There you go. Sorry about that.
All good. All right. The comprehensive annual financial report is broken into three separate sections. The first being the introductory section. The introductory section has several required components. The first one I'll highlight is the letter of transmittal. This is a very good letter of transmittal, and in terms of looking at what's in the comprehensive annual financial report, if you look at only a few things in here, understanding this is a very large document, the letter of transmittal in conjunction, and looking at that in conjunction with the management's discussion and analysis are really great tools within the comprehensive annual financial report. For yourself as elected officials, for residents that might be looking at this report, giving them a high-level summary of what happened during the village's fiscal year. Also want to commend and congratulate the village for the receipt of the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is a program through the GFOA where the village's comprehensive annual financial report is submitted, undergoes a review by members of both the GFOA staff as well as what GFOA refers to as their special review committee, ensures that the village's comprehensive annual financial report meets all of the requirements of the comprehensive annual financial report program, goes through a very thorough review on that. As an annual basis, the village received comments and suggestions in terms of any potential changes that the GFOA may recommend to that. Generally, as Brad can attest, those are relatively minor comments in nature, oftentimes cosmetic type issues for that. But the village does submit this on an annual basis to the GFOA for review, incorporates any comments that they may have. Next section is the financial section. In the financial section, the first item within that financial section is the independent auditor's report. This is printed on the Sikich letterhead, pages 1 through 3. Call to your attention a couple items. First, management is ultimately responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements. Your financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles as set forth by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB. Our responsibility as auditors is then outlined in the next section, and our responsibility is to provide an opinion on those financial statements based on our audit conducted in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles as set forth by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, or AICPA. For the village's April 30th, 2019 audit, you will see a little bit different language in this paragraph because the village will be subject to, we call it an audit in accordance with the generally accepted government auditing standards, or GAGAS opinion for that. Reason being for the new opinion for your 2019 fiscal year end is due to the requirements from the state for the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act, or the GATA requirements for that. So in terms of the language you see in here, there's be some slight differences. The next page, you'll see the opinions at the top of the page 2. Pleased to present this evening that we've issued a clean, unmodified opinion on the village's financial statements as of and for your fiscal year ended April 30th, 2018. That clean, unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance that we can provide as auditors, and it means, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The Other Matters section addresses our opinions, or lack thereof, on other sections of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. So anything identified as required supplementary information, we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on that section because we do limited procedures over those. The other information is made up of 2 components: the combining and individual fund financial statements, all of your detailed budget versus actual schedules. Our opinion is what we call an in relation to opinion, so they're fairly stated in relation to the basic financial statements as a whole. And on the very last page, the introductory and statistical sections are not audited as part of the audit process, so we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on them. Behind the independent auditor's report is the management's discussion and analysis that I mentioned earlier. Recommend reading this in conjunction with the letter of transmittal. Management's discussion and analysis is a unique component to the comprehensive annual financial report. It's really the one spot where not only are highlighted numbers presented, but management actually has the opportunity to provide some narrative as to why those numbers change from one year to the next. So it's a great place to really get more of a detailed understanding as to what's driving some of those changes. So again, do recommend reading that management discussion and analysis. Moving past that, then we go to the basic financial statements, the first of which is the statement of net position. This is on page 4 of the comprehensive annual financial report. The statement of net position is presented on what we call the economic resources measurement focus and the full accrual basis of accounting. That means this includes any of the village's capital assets, as well as any long-term debt or long-term liabilities. So your net pension liabilities associated with the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund or the Police Pension Fund included on here, as well as your capital assets, your land, buildings, infrastructure, things of that nature. You'll see 3 columns on this schedule. The governmental activities are your tax-supported funds. Business-type activities are your water, sewer, and commuter parking fund, and you have a consolidated total column on the far right. On the bottom of the second page, so bottom of page 5 of the statement of net position, you'll see the net position, or essentially your equity section of your financial statements. Your unrestricted net position, numbers highlighted at the bottom there. For your governmental activities, you had unrestricted net position of $47.1 million, business-type activities of $23.9 million. The fact that you have substantial unrestricted net positions in both your governmental activities and business-type activities is something to be proud of. It speaks to the fiscal, good fiscal, sound fiscal management for the village there. Many entities, after the implementation of the new GASB 68 pronouncements, are reporting unrestricted net position deficits, primarily in their governmental activities. So the fact that you've got a healthy reserve and a healthy unrestricted net positions, again, something to be proud of. On the statement of activities, pages 6 and 7, this is your long-term income statement. A little bit of a unique presentation from an income statement standpoint as it presents expenses first. And any program revenues or your charges for services offset that. On the following page, at the top half, you'll see the net expense of revenue and change in net position. And then your general revenue, so all of your tax dollars and other general revenues are reported below that. Your change in net position for the year from a governmental activity standpoint increased about $8.5 million. Your business type activities increased about $1.5 million. For your governmental activities, driven by 3 primary components, your fund balances as a whole increased about $3.1 million. Your capital asset activity, about $1.4 million, that increased your net position. And finally, the repayment of long-term debt also increased your net position. Business type activities, that $1.5 million broken out between $1.2 for water sewer and about $300,000 for your commuter parking fund increases. On page 8 of the comprehensive annual financial report, you'll see the governmental funds balance sheet. This is presented on the current financial resources measurement focus and the modified accrual basis of accounting. So those capital assets and long-term liabilities that I referred to earlier had been removed from this presentation, more of a budget-focused, cash-basis focused presentation on this. General fund, your major fund or your major funds, It's presented in the far left column. Capital Improvements Fund, also a major fund. All of the remaining aggregate non-major governmental funds presented in that third column, and finally your far right total column. Focusing on your general fund balance, a good ratio to look at and monitor is your unassigned fund balance as a percentage of your general fund expenditures for the year. For the village, that's 48% as of April 30th, 2018, a very healthy ratio in terms of a general fund funded status as well. On page 10, this is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, again for your governmental funds. And then towards the bottom of the page, you'll see a line titled the excess or deficiency of revenues over expenditures. In your general fund, you'll see that general fund operations prior to any transfers in or out of the general fund had an increase of $11.4 million. Of that $11.4 million, you had transfers out of 11.2, of which 9.7 went to the Capital Improvements Fund for future capital projects and to fund your capital projects fund. More details on those transfers in the other financing sources section can be found on pages 36 and 37 of the comprehensive annual financial report as well. Moving further in the report, the required supplementary information, if you turn to pages 71 and 72, if you're going through the hard copy document, want to highlight for you just the funded status of the municipal IMRF as well as the police pension fund. So on page 71, the IMRF net pension liability as of December 31st, 2017. So this is presented in a year, or based on IMRF's fiscal year and the report dates for that. So they're December 31st, which is why you have a 2017 date in here. As of December 31st, 2017, the village's portion was $7.3 million, down from about $13.2 in the prior year. The reason this is a proportionate share is a portion is also allocated over to the library. The bottom ratio there is the planned fiduciary net position as a percentage of the total pension liability. You'll see for 2016 to 2017, you went from 78% to 88% funded. IMRF had a very strong year in 2017, which is what's driving the majority of that increase in the funded status for that plan. Would expect a pretty decent correction to that in 2018, kind of based on IMRF's rate of return through 2018. IMRF also changed their interest rate assumption on a go-forward basis, so you might see a little bit of a kind of return to the mean on that calculation there. But again, those are going to fluctuate significantly as some of those assumptions may change, as well as the investment market results will change as well. The last item I'll cover then in my presentation this evening is the funded status for the police pension fund. As of April 30th, 2018, the village reported a net pension liability of $22.1 million and a funded status of 76.4%, up about 2% from the prior year. A good year for the fund on that. You did have some actuarial differences between expected and actual experience that increased your total pension liability. Otherwise, you would have seen probably even a little bit of a larger increase in that funded status. That concludes the comments that I had for you on the comprehensive annual financial report. Be happy to answer any questions on any of the information we covered in that document or any other questions you may have. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
A question on what you just touched on with the police pension.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because more people retired in the past year that caused that, or?
It can be a variety of factors on that. It can be related to retirements. It can be related to what the actuary projected for salary increases versus what actual salary increases are. There's a significant number of demographic assumptions that would go into that. I don't have the specific numbers, and we don't include those in the comprehensive annual financial report, but the valuation would be able to kind of break out in more details as to what those exact differences were between the expected and actual experience.
No other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before discuss MGP Service Provider Agreement, the GIS Consortium.
Thanks, Trustee Yonker. This is our annual GIS annual renewal agreement. This is something we do every year. Back in 2011, Tinley Park entered into an agreement with GIS Consortium, and this is our annual renewal period for that. So what we're asking for is committee to push this through to the board for approval for our annual agreement. and it's not to exceed $203,420.55, and we got a current budget for $262,000.
Anybody have any questions on that? I'll make a motion to add that to the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, discuss vehicle sticker program. Pat?
Yes, a couple months back, we were asked to take a look at our vehicle sticker program. What this vehicle sticker program is it provides over $700,000 worth of revenue for us, for the village, and it's an important part of the village payment management program. And we looked at a variety of things. We've done some extensive research, and we're still continuing to do it. But just to touch on a couple of the different options that we have out there for this program is number one, maintain the status quo and continue to administer the program as is. 2, outsource most of the functions. Or 3, eliminate the program and replace with another revenue source. What we're doing right now and talking with the village manager, we're still conducting a lot of the research, and based on some time limits that we have with the sticker company coming up here in a couple weeks, it's our recommendation that we revisit this back in the summer, or forward in the summer, as we get ready for the next budget season, because there's a lot of research that has to be done. It's a big budget portion that has to be replaced. And coming also now, we're in the midst of our budget, trying to finalize it, and we're not having a lot of time trying to come up with some ideas to replace it. So we want to get a fresh look at it in the summer, give us plenty of time to look at some different options, and then if we have to make a decision, we'll have plenty of time to make that decision for next year.
Right, any questions?
No, I
Thanks.
agree, though.
Thanks,
When
Pat.
when do you think you would have, end of the summer? Would we be looking at making a decision?
Yes, yes. I mean, we have a good chunk of research that's done now, but again, the big portion, even if we were gonna try to outsource any of the functions of this, we're coming up on a time limit of, the end of this month
Right,
for making a decision with the stickers, with the companies that we deal with this. And then also with our budget coming up right now, trying to have everybody decide on a different revenue source wouldn't be fair for everybody until we get everything together, so.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Number 6, receive comments from the public. Anyone wish to address the board in regards to the committee, the whole meeting agenda? Records show there's none. Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.